Joining me now is Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin. He's the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee. And Congressman, I don't know how many times I've seen you and James Comer agree on anything after a hearing, but here you both called for Kimberly Cheatle to resign. Was it the testimony itself that convinced you that she needed to go, or should she have hung it up even before this hearing?
Well, it was a combination of the complete operational collapse on July the 13th, then with the stunning communication failures that were, on evidence during the hearing. It was a shocking thing for America to see a near assassination take place. And so that was a major operational failure on the part of the Secret Service. But at the same time, there's another policy failure, which is on us, Garrett, which is the very same day that took place, there were two other mass shootings. It wasn't even the worst mass shooting on July 13th. There was one in Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 people were killed and 10 were wounded at 11 p.m. that night. And so Congress needs to ban weapons of war like the AR-15 in order to secure public places in America like movie theaters and churches and Walmarts and grocery stores and so on. And we've got to take care of the presidents and the former presidents, but we got to take care of everybody.
You guys did not get a lot of answers in that hearing yesterday. I'm curious what you think are the most pressing questions that remain, in your mind, unanswered about the attempted assassination of the former president.
Well, there are many of them, but of course the question on the whole mind of America is how do they leave open a rooftop 150 yards away from where the president was set to speak? And then, even after the police and the Secret Service didn't do anything about that, there were rally goers who were pointing at the gunman who was climbing up the roof, and still nothing happened. They neither apprehended that guy nor did they stop Donald Trump from going out to make his speech. People were also asking the question of how the president, in spite of his well-known enthusiasm, why was he allowed to get back up and wave to the crowd and expose himself to the potentiality of another shooter still being out there, because of course nobody knew at that point. So there are a whole bunch of questions that need to be answered. Thank God that it did not end up with Donald Trump enduring worse injury, but there was a firefighter who was killed on the spot and other people who were seriously wounded, just like there were in these 2 other mass shooting attacks on the very same day. We're now suffering more than 1 mass shooting every day in the United States of America, and nothing takes place like that anywhere else in the world. And so when you look at Europe, for example, we've got 25 times the gun casualty rate that they have in the UK or France or Germany. And so we really need to bear down on this problem of mass gun violence in the country.
It does raise questions about the validity of the good guy with a gun theory. Of course, that ended this shooting but didn't prevent it in Pennsylvania. I want to ask you about,
there were lots of good guys with a gun there that day, but all the good guys with a gun didn't stop it. Right, sure.
I want to turn to the other big story of the week. You may have heard there's a new Democratic presidential nominee, or about to be one. Vice President Harris is in Wisconsin today. She was campaigning. I don't know if you were able to see much of that rally, but we showed quite a bit of it at the top of this broadcast. And I'm curious in general if you feel better now about her chances of defeating Donald Trump compared to President Biden now that there is this change in the works at the top of the ticket.
Well, and President Biden is a hero and a great leader, and great leaders make room for great leaders, and he did that in bringing forward Vice President Harris, who is going to be an absolutely charismatic, dynamic, and thrilling candidate. She's electrified our party. I think more than $100 million has flowed in since the announcement was made. She's already way surpassed the number of delegates she needs in order to win the nomination. And so we've got tremendous unity, we've got tremendous focus, and we are definitely going to win this election. There's no doubt about it.
In proof that irony is dead, a lot of Republicans are claiming this was basically a coup against President Biden, that he was forced out of the top of the ticket. How much do you feel like Democrats need to engage with that argument? Obviously, a lot of Democrats called for Joe Biden to step aside. You came pretty close to calling for him to leave, but didn't explicitly do so. How do you view that argument going forward and the need to address it?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that my friends across the aisle were actually opposed to coups and insurrections. They've spent a long time defending one that took place on January 6, 2021. Look, they're unfamiliar with the processes of democracy. They are in a cult of authoritarian personality where Donald Trump just dictates to everyone everything that's going to happen. And of course, people are expecting a monarchical succession with Donald Trump Jr. and other Trumps lining up to take the public office. That's not how we work in the party of democracy and freedom. And of course, there's a discussion, and they're all saying, oh, you're going to have 57 ballots or 15 ballots the way that they did when they were trying to pick a speaker, and we didn't have a speaker in the House of Representatives for more than a week. We had a discussion, and we had people with lots of love and encouragement and solidarity discussing what our next steps were, and it has worked out beautifully at the instigation of Joe Biden, who is a great president and continues to be the heart and soul of the Democratic Party.
You talk about the idea that Harris had revitalized and rejuvenated the Democratic Party by taking over this ticket. You and a lot of other Democrats were defending Joe Biden at 81 years old, his fitness and stamina and ability to run for the presidency until you weren't a few weeks ago. Are Democrats capable of now making an age and ability argument against the new old guy in the race, Donald Trump?
Well, we don't make arguments ad hominem style against people's age and infirmity and derangement. The Republicans do that, but they've set their own table, they've made their own bed, and they're going to have to sleep in it. They were the ones who wanted to talk about age, infirmity, and derangement, and of course, all of the spotlights are on Donald Trump now. They really do need some new leadership in that party. They've needed some new leadership for a long time, and Donald Trump has destroyed one major political party. We're not going to let him destroy our political party. We're stronger than ever, and we're standing strong for the American Constitution, for the Bill of Rights, and we have in Kamala Harris an amazing prosecutor who's going to be able to go all around the country and talk about Donald Trump's destruction of the freedoms and rights of American women. And she will put abortion and IVF and birth control in the center of the debate. She will put voting rights and democracy at the center of the debate, and we are very excited for the next 100 days.
It's going to be very interesting to see how the issue set changes with the candidate changing. We've got, as you say, about 100 days to watch it all play out. Congressman Raskin, thank you for joining us.
You bet.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.